Welcome to Know What is Vaccine, Facts and Myths. Together, we will look into how vaccines work, the benefits and risks of vaccines, and finally go through some myths and facts about vaccines. Let's begin. What is a vaccine? Vaccines are substances used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases. How do they work? To understand how vaccines function, we need to know how the immune system defends us against contagious diseases in the first place. When foreign microbes invade us and we fall sick, a war breaks out in our body. Immune cells are recruited to fight microbes and record information about them, creating a memory of what the invaders look like and how best to fight them. So, if the same bacteria or virus affects the body again, the immune system is ready to fight back, preventing you from getting the disease altogether. This process of arming the immune system takes time, and the longer your immune system takes to fight the disease, the longer you suffer and the higher the risk of complications. But what if we could prepare the body's immune response, readying it before someone even got ill? This is where vaccines come in. Using the same principles that the body uses to defend itself, scientists use vaccines to trigger the body's immune system without exposing humans to the full strength of the disease. The immune system can safely learn to recognize them as hostile invaders, produce antibodies, and fight them in the future. How many vaccines exist? Well, the main ones are live attenuated vaccines, which contain a living virus or bacteria that is altered to be harmless or less virulent, inactivated vaccines, which contain pathogens that have been killed, subunit vaccines, which contain only part of the pathogen that needs to be recognized by the immune system, and toxoid vaccines, which contain a toxin made by certain bacteria. What are the benefits and risks of vaccines? Do the risks really outweigh the benefits? Let us think about the benefits of vaccines first. The biggest benefit is the immunity to the disease that they give you in a safe state. You are spared from the worst parts of the disease. These diseases are more than just a fever and a cough. They can cause serious, long-term health problems or even death. On the community level, vaccines work through something called herd immunity. Viral and bacterial infections spread throughout the community from person to person. The more people are immune, the harder it is to spread. And so, if the disease were to be reintroduced into the community, those who are immune reduce the spread, and fewer people are infected overall. How about the risk of vaccines? Just as medications can cause side effects, vaccines also have documented side effects that tend to vary among vaccines. The most common side effects are mild, pain, swelling, or redness where the shot was given, a mild fever, chills, feeling tired, headache, and muscle and joint aches. And these side effects are self-limiting and resolve in a matter of a few days. But what about allergies or serious side effects? Aren't those real too? Well, yes. But to truly understand how the benefits stack up against the risk, let's play a numbers game. Let's assume your child is vaccinated with the MMR vaccine that protects your child from measles, mumps, and rubella. According to the World Health Organization information sheet, your child may experience a bit of pain and tenderness at the injection site that goes away in 2 or 3 days. There is a 10% chance your child develops a fever, and a 5% chance they develop a rash that lasts about a day or two. What about more serious side effects with the MMR vaccine? A severe allergic reaction may occur but is extremely rare, with a rate of 3.5 to 10 per million vaccinations. In other words, there is roughly a 0.0007% chance for this to occur in your child. The risk for encephalitis from the vaccine is less than 1 in a million. Now, what if your child contracted measles? For around 2 to 3 weeks, your child would very likely suffer from fever, dry cough, runny nose, sore throat, and inflamed eyes or conjunctivitis. Then tiny white spots would be found on the inside of the mouth, on the inner lining of the cheek. A skin rash would break out all over the body. There is an 8% chance for dangerous diarrhea, a 7% chance for an ear infection, 6% chance for pneumonia, and a 0.1% chance for encephalitis, which makes the risk to get encephalitis from measles 1,000 times more likely compared to the risk with a vaccine. The fatality rate of measles sits around 0.2%. Now, in the best case scenario, your child has a very bad 2 weeks. Now let's scale up and say 10 million children are infected with measles. Among them, 20,000 children will likely die, with about 80,000 suffering from severe complications. Now, what if 10 million children were vaccinated? Only around 120 of them will suffer from serious side effects, and our healthcare system would ensure that they are fine. The benefits of vaccinating really do outweigh the risk. Now let's conclude by going through a few popular vaccine myths and the facts surrounding them. Myth number 1. Vaccines cause autism. There is no evidence that links vaccines with autism or autistic disorders. This myth arose from a 1988 study that has already been retracted due to its poor design, and the author of this paper was found guilty of serious professional misconduct in 2010. A Danish study with more than 500,000 children in 2002 proved no correlation between the MMR vaccine and autism. Myth number 2. Vaccines contain mercury and aluminium, which are dangerous. To understand why this is false, we must understand why and how much mercury and aluminium are sometimes added. The organic and ethyl mercury containing compound called thiomerzol is added to some vaccines as a preservative, making the vaccine more stable. Now, some vaccines also add aluminium salts to enhance the immune response of the vaccine. In both cases, the amount that is added is minuscule. No evidence suggests that these amounts pose a serious health risk. In fact, aluminium intake from vaccines is lower than everyday intake from your diet. Myth number 3. Vaccinated children experience more allergic, autoimmune, and respiratory diseases compared to unvaccinated children. Vaccines teach our body to react to certain antigens. They do not change the way it works. There is no evidence of a link between vaccination and the development of allergic, autoimmune, and respiratory diseases in later life. Myth number 4. Some vaccines cause sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. The evidence accumulated over many years do not show any links between childhood immunization and SIDS. These vaccines are administered at a time when babies, unfortunately, can suffer from SIDS. Hence, any reported SIDS deaths are coincidental to vaccination and would have unfortunately occurred even if no vaccines had been given. Myth number 5. It is best to wait for my child to grow up before giving them the vaccine. Children are the most vulnerable to vaccine-preventable diseases due to their weaker immune system and newly developing bodies. Vaccines strengthen their immune system and protect them from potentially life-threatening complications. Hence, it is highly recommended that children are vaccinated as early as possible according to the immunization schedule. Myth number 6. Vaccines are contaminated with DNA from pigs, making the vaccines not permissible or haram for Muslims. In circumstances where no available halal sources or options are effective in treating the disease, it becomes permissible in the instance of vaccines. The Fatwa Council in Malaysia has ruled that vaccination is permissible for the purpose of treatment and prevention. Refusing vaccinations would result in greater harm. And myth number 7. My child does not need to take the vaccine as long as other children vaccinate. Now, while to an extent this is true, herd immunity only occurs when 80 to 90% of the population have protective immunity against the disease. Not vaccinating would then reduce the percentage of immunized people and increases the risk of an outbreak. Now, if your child is immunosuppressed or has a rare reaction to vaccines, then you need to be the biggest pro-vaccine supporter so that herd immunity protects your child. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for watching, and we hope you learned a lot about vaccines.